Rain lashed against the old iron gates. Ethan shivered, pulling his coat tighter. Crows cawed, a chorus of warnings lost in the wind. He'd come to Cranbrook Asylum, a place shrouded in darkness and whispered tales. Legends spoke of lost souls and unspeakable horrors. He was drawn to it, a moth to a flickering flame. He pushed the gate open. The metal groaned, a tortured sound. The asylum loomed before him, a skeletal silhouette against the stormy sky. Each window seemed like a vacant eye, staring out into the night. He took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. A sense of foreboding pressed down on him. He stepped inside, his footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness. The air grew heavy, suffocating. He shone his flashlight, the beam dancing across dusty floors and peeling paint. There, in the middle of the main hall, sat a wheelchair. It moved slightly, creaking in the silence. Ethan approached it slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. There was no one there. Yet the wheelchair rocked back and forth, as if an unseen presence lingered, trapped within these crumbling walls. He felt a cold breath on the back of his neck, sending a shiver down his spine. The asylum was awake, and it was watching him. The silence of Cranbrook was a living thing, punctuated by the occasional groan of the building. Ethan ventured deeper, drawn by an unseen force. He reached a room, its door hanging precariously by one hinge. The nameplate read, Dr. Henry Collins, Chief Psychiatrist. He stepped inside. The air was thick with the musty scent of old paper and something else, something metallic and sickly sweet. The doctor's desk lay in ruins, papers scattered like fallen leaves. He picked one up, its edges brittle with age. It was a patient file, the name at the top sending a chill down his spine. Evelyn Blackwood. He turned the page, his heart pounding in his ears. A photograph was stapled to the file, a young woman with haunted eyes and a nervous smile. He heard a whisper, faint but unmistakable. Evelyn. It seemed to come from the walls themselves. Ethan turned, shining his light on the cracked plaster. A face appeared, a ghostly apparition formed by shadows and peeling paint. It vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Evelyn Blackwood. The name echoed in the silence of the asylum. Ethan delved deeper into her file. Her story unfolded before him, a tale of tragedy and terror. Admitted in 1952, diagnosed with hysteria. Her behavior was erratic, her ramblings nonsensical. She spoke of shadows and whispers, of things that went bump in the night. He found her diary tucked away in a drawer, its pages filled with frantic scribblings. "They watch me," she wrote. "They whisper to me in the dark. They experiment on us. They are not human." Her words sent a shiver down his spine. This was more than just a ghost story. Ethan saw her again, a fleeting glimpse of a young woman in a white gown. She drifted down the hallway, her eyes wide with terror. He tried to follow, but she vanished as quickly as she had appeared. He was certain now. Evelyn was trapped here, her spirit bound to the asylum. A trail of cold spots and whispered pleas led Ethan to the basement door. The metal was cold beneath his touch. He hesitated for a moment, fear a knot in his throat. What awaited him in the darkness below? He pushed the door open, the hinges groaning in protest. The air was thick and heavy, the stench of decay overpowering. The stairs creaked under his weight. He descended into the darkness, his flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. He found himself in a long corridor lined with cells. Each one was empty, but the air was thick with the lingering presence of suffering. He could hear them, whispers and moans echoing off the cold concrete walls. He reached the end of the corridor and found himself facing a heavy metal door. A sign above it read, "Restricted area, authorized personnel only." He knew then with a sickening certainty that this was where Evelyn's story ended. He pushed the door open, revealing a room filled with rusted medical equipment and stained surgical tables. This was no ordinary asylum. This was a place of nightmares. Ethan woke up with a gasp, his heart pounding in his chest. He was back in his car, parked outside the gates of Cranbrook Asylum. He could have sworn it was all real. He reached for his camera, eager to review the footage, but the memory card was empty. There was no record of his time inside the asylum. He was left with only the chilling certainty that Cranbrook doesn't let anyone leave. Not entirely.